So, Jim, maybe just you keep your eye out, see if anyone joins us. Like I said, because of Friday, some people are not joining us. And that reminds me to tell you like everything is recorded. This entire course is recorded, which is good because you can access it anytime you want. If you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to take a phone call, if you have something to do, like by all means, don't worry about it. At the same time, I'm always recording, including during the breaks. So if you're like yelling at your neighbor to, whatever, close their windows or something, it will be recorded. So just pay attention to the fact that you are recorded and this course is part of a course that will, endure for decades, I hope. So whatever you put on this recording is kind of permanent. The only exception to that is I do sometimes edit the demos depending on what happens, just because I can't predict that in advance. And of course, I would never publish something that's compromising to you or myself. So we'll talk about that as it comes. So I'm going to start by welcoming you, and then I'll talk you through the course a little bit. Um, Jim, do you know how to reach Alicia? She's not in the Facebook group. I should have given you her contact. I just want to make sure she has the Zoom link.
Can you put her email in the chat?
Yep. I'm just going to send it to her.
Okay.
She works in the kind of public sector where she can't have a social media, so that's why. So, welcome to the course. This is Soulsway Method Level 1. It's an advanced conversational hypnosis course. I'm Dr. Maya Alapin. As you know, I'm not a medical doctor or a mental health care practitioner. This is a disclaimer I have to give where I live in Quebec. I want to reiterate what I said a moment ago, also because I wasn't recording it, which is the point of this course is repetition. So if you've come before, like Jen has been here before, Jim has been here before. I mean, if you feel like, well, hi, Jen. If you feel like I already heard a lot of this, like, yeah, that's right. I'm not teaching a whole brand new course every time because it's a fundamental level course. So it is repetitive. The point though is to come and have this live experience. So as I said before, the live is always available to you. You can show up now, you can show up in a year, you can show up in 5 years. I'm hoping I'm still doing it then, and you've already paid for it. So the live is a bonus that you can join literally anytime. Maybe, 2, 3 trainings in, you only want to watch, day 1 or day 2 or day 3 or whatever. That's fine with me. Don't stress about this live event because it's all recorded. So you have a Kajabi portal is already over 100 hours recorded in there, including my coaching calls. So you got plenty to work with. We also have the live Facebook group. So any troubleshooting questions, client problems, business problems, you are already paid. You have already paid for me to answer you. So by all means, use the group. Hold on, I'm just going to see if I can close anything on my computer to make the Zoom run better. Hope it catches up. Okay, so secondly, this is not an accreditation program. So you might be wondering, like, well, am I a registered hypnotherapist after this? So the answer is no, I'm not training you to have a license. I'm not training you to be a hypnotherapist. I'm training you to have a skill. You can use this skill without having all that other stuff. But as a legal disclaimer, obviously, I need to tell you, like, I don't know where you are in the world necessarily. I don't know what you're going to be practicing necessarily. So just be mindful that there are different laws in different places and you do have to abide by them. And I'm not responsible for that. This is a method, this is a technology. It's absolutely one that you can use and sell right away, but you have to package it correctly. So we can talk about that on day 3 when I do business. Just keep in mind today and tomorrow are skills training, and Sunday is business training. So you can ask me about that in detail if you want. But so don't expect a piece of paper, don't expect anything too fancy out of it, but expect some amazing magic and experience. Think about what kind of person attends a course like this. I just want you to take a moment while we are kicking off to really think about like who you are. Like the kind of person who comes to a conversational hypnosis course is a special kind of person. You're a minority. You're somebody who believes in something that the majority of people don't believe in. And you might be asking yourself, like, am I cut out for this? Can I actually make money doing this? Am I the right person for this? So I want you to stop asking that because you're here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't the kind of person who will be great at it. So this is a self-selective experience. And I just want you to give yourself credit at the outset that you have this courage to wager and this courage to enter on this kind of experience. That's special in itself. Having said that, you might already be trained. I'm looking at the screen right now, and I know that the majority of you already are either RTT or NLP or coaching background. Um, I don't know what else there is on the screen here. I see health coaching. I know there's some yoga. So, all of you have already been to courses. You've already spent money on courses, and you already, have a background in your head. That's not bad, but I am going to ask you today to just forget it, forget all about it because this is really a super extemporaneous, which means in the moment experience. So the more stuff you import, the more you try to control it, the more you try to so called, use your skills, the more you'll fuck yourself up. So, as you guys all know, I swear quite a bit. So I'll apologize for that in advance. So, forget all your skills, forget everything that you know. I really mean it. Start from zero, and you will get much faster and much better at conversational hypnosis than if you try your hardest to remember all the stuff that you brought with you. This is a speed method. That's part of the fun of it, and I'm going to talk about it more on today and during the business training, but I really want you to pay attention to the fact that this is a speed method, and that's a special thing about it. I think the majority of you have either had a session with me or at least watched some or been to my demos, so you know that it really is speedy. One of the ways in which I make it speedy is by being lazy. So although it's a speed method, it is not a high octane method. So right there, it has a special magic to it. Usually when we do something speedy, we think we have to like have a lot of pressure involved. But this is really a new approach to healing and to the mind because the speed is not created through adrenaline. It's created through laziness, is the word I'm going to use for now. And you'll see, you guys all know me. You know, I work very hard. You know that I'm a very busy person. So I don't mean lazy as in, laying on my couch in my sweatpants, but the approach itself is lazy. So it's a speed method. It's going to take you somewhere that you've not gone before, but you're not going to do it through freaking out and panicking. You're going to do it through letting go and allowing. This is also a results-based method. So I could, give you 500 studies. I could tell you 3,000 things about how the history of hypnosis works. And I will tell you a little bit. But at the end of the day, everything is measured through results. So that's really the litmus test for conversational hypnosis is, you know, does it work? Do the clients have long-term results? And what kind of reviews do you get? So I think that is a beautiful thing about this method that we can measure it super extremely easily by just paying attention to what happens with the clients. So I encourage you to do that as well. I'm feeling frustrated with the Zoom right now. Why is it so unhappy? Jim, do you have any insight into the Zoom situation here?
No,
Can you guys, you can all hear me though, fine?
yeah, yes, we can.
It is getting more and more behind, though, I find.
Is it?
The
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, the video is getting more and more behind your speech.
I'm watching it in the screen and it's bugging me.
I wonder if you exited and came back in, it sometimes resets, Maya.
I know, but if I leave, then you guys will all get taken down. Jim,
No,
if I,
if you make someone else the co-host, then you
yeah,
can leave and
Yeah,
come back.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Jim, you're the co-host, right? So can I leave and come back?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Well, I know you guys are all here for me, but I'll try it. Do I press end or will that end the whole thing?
You don't have a leave button?
No. No, I don't.
If you hit end, it should then ask you end for all or just for you, and you just select just for you.
Oh, Crystal, I like how you can dominate the Zoom life here. Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. Good advice, Crystal.
Much time spent and wasted on Zoom.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that remark. Or I resemble that remark. That's my favorite saying.
I resemble that remark. Did it work?
Yes.
All right,
Well, you're still behind a little bit.
but I'm here.
We can hear you just fine.
Okay,
I mean, you're
I'll give it some time.
you,
Sometimes it evens out. I mean, we might have to start the whole meeting again, but I don't really want to do that right now.
your flow of words is continuous, if that makes any sense.
I'll consider it hypnotic for now. So the Soulsway method, what is it? The Soulsway method is a conversational hypnosis method. Conversational hypnosis is not the original form of hypnosis. Hypnosis started with what you probably kind of think about when you consider hypnosis: induction, relaxation, suggestion, affirmation. So the conversational method is a derivative of that that uses all of those techniques in a condensed way so that you don't have to do them consecutively, but you can do them synthetically or all at the same time. So the Soulsway method combines conversational hypnosis with some traditional techniques. So what you're going to find from this is you have a really robust tool belt from which to draw. Many of you probably have heard of Milton Erickson, the father of hypnosis, the great grandfather of hypnosis. He originated the whole field of rapid transformation. And I think an interesting piece of his story is from his childhood. He had, I believe it was polio. I can't totally remember which disease it was, but he was unable to move for several years as a child. So those years he spent observing people. And oh, there's Alicia, Jim. And he developed a way of observing people in great detail. Like it was said that he recorded like 50 ways people say no just with by watching. And so that's the origin of conversational hypnosis, is the power of observation and the power of reading people. So yeah, I'm going to talk about questions, I'm going to talk about techniques, I'm going to talk about methodology, but at the end of the day, wow, look, this is the biggest screen I've ever had. That's cool. At the end of the day, what you're going to really hone in on is that Ericksonian talent of observation and observing. Why I'm telling you that now before we even learn the method, what we're gonna, why I'm telling you that, and just keep your screen muted unless you're talking or participating. A little box appears around your head if it's you making the noise. So we know it's you. So just be mindful of that. And it's okay. It's a casual training. Why it's important, what I said about the power of observation, is because that's where your confidence comes from. It's really hard to be confident when you're worried about what technique should I use? What question should I ask? Am I doing it right? Am I helping this person? Are they going to transform right in front of me? Did they get their money's worth? If you go through all that stuff, it's not that easy to really enjoy your work or get it done quickly. So, the power of observation is a way to really be confident that all that stuff I just said, the questions, your attitude, blah, 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 is not essential. What's essential is the power of observation. And that's something that's intuitive and natural. So I'm going to teach you how to hone in on that, but I want you to really pay attention to that at the outset, that it's not the technique that's going to take you where you're going. It's the way in which you approach it. So at the end of the day, what I'm going to teach you is to do nothing. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to stress about. There's nothing to think about. I know I see Sky is smirking kind of because she's like, okay, great. So I paid $1,000 to learn how to do nothing. Fantastic. But that's kind of it. Like the real truth of this method is stress-free for you. And when it's stress-free for you, it's stress-free for the client as well. So, what you're going to do today is reclaim the power of who you are and reclaim the power of what's possible, reclaim the ability to transcend our social programming that tells us that we're responsible and we have to provide service. And we are the people who, have to heal others. Like, none of that is true. I'm going to teach you how to reclaim your own power so that you can teach other people to reclaim their own power and transcend their minds and their problems. This is the science of epigenetics. And I haven't talked about that before, but I'm really into it now. So, epigenetics means our genetics do not determine who we are. Our environment determines who we are. Our circumstances determine who we are. And we are living in a medical and social system that conditions us to believe that the results are already determined by our physical makeup, by our genetic makeup, by our education, by all kinds of things. But the truth is that everything is in flux and everything is subject to change and everything is flexible. So it's a very radical position that I'm taking. And obviously, I'm going to get pushback on it. No, genetics does determine X and Y, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, we can talk about all of that. And I'm not saying that you can hypnotize somebody to like not break their arm or something. Like, yes, we're living in the laws of physics. That's true. But I am going to ask you to go well beyond what is expected and what is so-called taught in the medical establishment to an epigenetic model. And the epigenetic model is giving us the power to determine the future. And if we have the power to determine the future, so do our clients. So I'm going to a direction of radical faith. And I mean really radical. So anytime during the course, if you feel like, oh, I'm not too sure about this, or oh, that's kind of crazy, or like, what the fuck is she talking about? Just remember that I warned you at the beginning that I know that and that I'm comfortable with that. And that's the purpose here. It is radical and it is crazy in a way. And that's what's beautiful about it. And that's why you're here, because you're the kind of person who can hold on to that. So, my emphasis in teaching you the model today is going to be not on hypnosis, even though you're in a hypnosis course, but I'm going to teach you the power of using a therapeutic approach to create hypnotic results. That's very different than teaching you hypnosis for the sake of hypnosis. Okay, so I'm not teaching you hypnosis today. I'm not going to teach you how do you hypnotize somebody. I'm going to teach you how do you conduct a session that's therapeutic and that creates a hypnotic conclusion that gives people the sense of hypnosis without having had to formally hypnotize them. That's why I'm going to use demos really mostly today, because it's something that you can learn through observation better than you can learn through theory. So I just want to tell you in advance, the demos are experimental, they're practice. I don't necessarily need you to have a breakthrough. I don't need you to, have the most amazing experience of your life. If you do, that's great. But just remember, we're practicing. So there's no pressure on you as a client or as a therapist, whichever one you're demonstrating. Just enjoy the demos and use them for learning. Do not examine them too carefully. You're going to find that curiosity is all you need for the demos. And you don't need to use a script and you don't need to have a plan. So I'm going to show you that right in a minute here as soon as I can get through my talk. We'll just jump into the demo so I can show you what I mean. Okay, so just a few ground rules for the next 3 days. So days 1 and 2, we're going to learn the method. Day 3, I'm going to talk about the business side of it. You're welcome to come to all 3. If you're not going to open a business, you can skip day 3 and watch it on the video if you're curious. I do think the business end ties into the theory. So I think even if you're not going to have a business, it's interesting. But if you really just want to learn the method, days 1 and 2 are what are important. The rules for the day are as follows. You can ask questions anytime. If I'm in the middle of something or we're doing a demo, drop a question in the chat instead of interrupting, or use the little emoji that raises your hand because that jumps you to the top of the screen so I can see where the questions are. So I'm loving questions. I'm very open to your questions. No question is stupid. No question is too simple. Just ask all the questions you want. Using one of those methods. If you are somewhere where you can't talk right now, you can use the chat and Jim will read out those questions. So don't be shy. I already said this before I started recording, but I'll repeat myself now that we are recording. The whole day is recorded. Anything that you say on here is subject to be used in the course. So just be aware of yourself. Be aware that I'm recording even during the breaks, or if you yourself take a break and get up and start screaming or whatever, it'll be recorded. So just pay attention to your own screen the whole day. Use the mute and the cancel video if you need to. Oh, there's Nikki, Jim. Take care of yourself today. We're all grown-ups here. I'm not going to remind you to go to the bathroom and drink water, but you need to do those things. You're all, healing in the healing community type of people. So I don't need to educate you on self-care, but I'm reminding you right now that I am not tracking all of you personally at the moment. So if you have been waiting to go to the bathroom forever or you're waiting for a break, just assign yourself whatever you need and take care of yourself. Yes, Jim?
I think you're going to have to make me a co-host again
Oh,
because I'm not seeing anybody new that's joining.
I just did. You are a co-host. Thanks for asking.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Pay attention to what we're doing, be mindful of what we're doing, but don't get stressed. So if you are lost at some point, it's a hypnosis course. You're probably just experiencing hypnosis. By all means ask me, but do not feel any stress or tension to have to know exactly what's happening, knowing that half the time I don't know what's happening. And that's part of this experience. So I want you to relax and enjoy it and not get hung up on any one particular thing. Like I said before, it's caught, not taught. So we're going to just see, the rate and experience that you have catching it. You can turn off your video when we demo. I'm going to pin the 2 people who are experiencing the demo to the screen. Well, Jim will do it for me, but you can all turn off your videos to not distract others. Sometimes when you go into the demo, you forget, and then I have to do it manually, and then Zoom will block you from rejoining. So you just need to flag me and just say, hey, I can't open my video again because I can't read your mind, and I don't want you to be waiting for forever to try to get back into the screen. Okay, so that being said, any questions on the day or on the training in general? Am I muted? Okay. Zoom just told me that I was. Here we have the Soulsway Hypnosis Method. I've already told you what we're doing today. So I'm going to talk you through a few slides and then we'll jump right into a demo. I'll stop for questions after I do the slides, okay? So this is module 1. As you can see, I have a revolution illustration here because this is a therapy revolution. I do not think that there are many people doing what we're doing. I do not think that there is a speed product for mental health care available anywhere that compares to this. And I really mean that. RTT is a rapid transformation technology. That's the title. And it's great. And I love it. I've used it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I've used it for myself personally, but it is still a scripted method. It is still a methodological method that's in the tradition of script reading. So what we're doing now is a new frontier because we're going to abandon all of that um, concept that we need to so-called prepare, that we need to be ready for the session. The new frontier is telling us, no, the subconscious mind is a supercomputer and we don't need to know how to use it. We just need to engage with it. So this is what I've been saying to my clients for a long time is this is an AI form of hypnosis. And what I mean by that is we're doing a faster, smarter model that takes all the features of the traditional model and compresses and condenses them into a better product. So that's exactly what happened with, the Elon Musk battery is, well, people said, no, a battery has to be this size and this price and materials have to come from this place. And Elon Musk said, that's all bullshit. How about we take all the pieces out of this battery, reconfigure them, buy them, raw from the source and recombine them into a cheaper, smaller unit. And guess what happened? He became the richest man in the world. So it is absolutely possible to take an old model and reconfigure it. And that's what we're going to be doing. So this is a new frontier. I do think the results from this are unbelievable. And I do think they're hard to believe. And that's why a lot of people are skeptical and have questions. So we'll talk about how to deal with that. But welcome to the new frontier. That's what I want to say. So let's just talk for a moment about problems with traditional methods. So you see the guy looking at his watch there. So what's that problem? What's the problem that guy has with the traditional method? You can unmute yourselves. What are the problems with traditional methods? A lot of you have used traditional methods and it didn't work. So what was the problem?
Time.
Yeah, time. A lot of traditional methods take like maybe a year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10. Like the Freudian model takes 20 plus years, the armchair model. So time, I like that one.
And it's kind of like you go in circles a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I call it circling the drain. Traditional therapy is a lot of like, so last time you were telling me about that time that sucked in your life. Why don't you tell me about another time that sucked in your life? And you're like, wow, I don't feel that great. I'm talking about all the things that suck. So repetition, expecting you to talk about things in a certain way, forcing you to revisit things that you don't want to revisit. Those are all good problems, Debbie. I agree. They don't take you anywhere for a long time sometimes. And by the way, I've done tons of traditional therapy myself, like 300-400 hours worth. So I'm not trying to say it's not good. It's helped me a lot, but we're just talking about overall, what are the problems we encounter? I mean, not working is one of the things you said, Debbie. Like, okay, so we could talk about what happened when we were 6, till the end of time. But if the problem remains, why are we still doing that? That's not helping either. So it doesn't work necessarily.
That wasn't my experience. It didn't. I mean, every once in a while you can get a light bulb moment, but majority of the time, it just seems like it keeps your emotions in turmoil and chaos, and you don't really get to the root of the problem.
Oh, I love what you just said. You don't get to the root of the problem. So I'm going to talk about that in module 3 today, the root of the problem, which is what hypnosis is always interested in. But you're absolutely right. Traditional methods circle the symptoms, and symptoms are not the problem. Symptoms are symptoms of the problem. So a lot of regular therapy, and like we keep saying, there's nothing wrong with regular therapy, but sometimes it's not effective. Like, for example, when you're having this experience of it's not helping, it's not changing anything. Actually, I feel worse than when I went in today. Okay, so not working, takes too long. As a practitioner, have you ever noticed that one of the problems is like, what should I do now? Like, oh, this person signed up to advance their business, but then they show up today and they're like, I just feel depressed. And you're like, oh, well, what should I do now? I thought we were going to have a business call. I thought I was going to do coaching today. I thought I was going to help this person develop a business plan. And now she wants to work on depression. That has nothing to do with how I started today. So what are you supposed to do then? Then you're kind of stuck, right? And has anyone ever had that client in front of them? They're like, oh shit, now I'm like totally fucked for the whole session. What do I do? That's not a good feeling. Stress. Or sometimes you prepare the whole session, right? Like when I used to do talk therapy or traditional hypnosis, I would be like ready to do non-smoking. So I'd have my non-smoking script in front of me. Everybody is excited that I'm going to help this person become a non-smoker. And then they show up and they're like, I haven't really been worried about the smoking because my, ex-boyfriend has been texting and it's driving me crazy. And you're like, but I have my non-smoking script all set. It took me 2 hours. And now what am I going to do? So another problem with traditional methods is people are unpredictable. Too long, too much stress. What technique do we use? Any other problems anyone has encountered with traditional methods? Do you ever feel pressure? You ever feel pressured to make a change, right? I see Sky said yes.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't done hypno, but I've done life coaching. And sometimes it's what we were taught in school. It feels very rigid, like you have to follow these steps and ask questions a specific way. And I like just going with the flow. Sometimes, yeah, just being curious and listening is like more my approach. So I found that challenging in our training.
Sky, you're in the right place. You're gonna love this. That's exactly what we're gonna do today is just learn, well, how do you just be curious? So be curious is such a key. And I think that it's a social norm for us to feel performance anxiety no matter what we're doing. I just had a concert violinist the other day, like a consummate master. Like he's the director of his whole section in this orchestra. It's like a high level position, and he's still coming to me for performance anxiety, which, by the way, we solved, and it's in my stories from yesterday. It was great. But the point of the story is no matter what level of professionalism, it's still socially accepted that we have performance anxiety, that we have to come up with the answer because we got paid. Well, that's the end of that. This course is the end of that. I'm going to really emphasize to you that you do not control the outcome of the session. By the way, you're not as special as you thought you were. Like, I hate to break it to you all, but we are just catalysts. We are just mechanisms on this journey, and the clients will do everything themselves. So no pressure. I'm going to totally remove the pressure to perform. The last problem I want to bring up, I don't think anyone has said it yet, is the clients don't know what the hell they're talking about. The clients are very confused. For all of you who have been with me in sessions, would you not agree that by the end of session 1, you felt like, I don't even know what the problem was, and I don't even know what I'm doing here? Like, you really don't know what your problems are, and neither do I, by the way. I'm not saying it's just you. And the reason for that is because the subconscious mind is very tricky and smart. If it just gave away to us what our problems were, we would know how to solve them and we would all have a very simple existence. But that's not the subconscious mind's role. So the clients don't really know why they're there either, and they don't know what they need help with. So if we have a prepared vision for them, if we have a plan, so to speak, and we don't even know what they're talking about, how's that supposed to work? So if I guessed because you guessed, then all of us guessed. Well, guess what? That doesn't work. It does not work when everybody guesses. So these are the problems that we're going to circumvent. The conscious mind loves to guess. Humans are going to guess at what they're feeling and experiencing because of the fact that the mind is a guessing mechanism. At the same time, the whole reason people ask for help is because they do not know what their problem is or how to solve it. Where do all problems exist? Where do all problems exist? Unmute yourself and tell me.
In the mind.
Okay, which part of the mind? Patrick? Are you raising your hand or you're just waving at me?
No, I'm not raising my hand, but in the soul.
Oh, the soul. That's a great. See, my necklace says soul. That's a great answer. Yes. Okay, the mind, the soul, be more specific. I agree with both of those, but it's more specific. I mean, Crystal, the mind is not a monolith, right? The mind has parts.
The problems exist in the conscious mind and the ego.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think the conscious mind thinks it knows what the problems are, but if it actually knew what they were, wouldn't it just take action?
But isn't there a difference between knowing what the problems are and where the problems exist?
Yeah, exactly. So the conscious mind knows what the problems are, but where do they really exist? You
in our
got that
belief
right.
system of what we believe about ourselves.
Yeah, and where does that exist? That's right.
Subconscious.
Exactly. So it's you were both right, and the mind is complex, and I love to teach the mind, so we'll keep talking about it. But you're both right. The ego recognizes the problem. The ego knows what the problem is. That's why it says, "Oh, I should Google and find a hypnotist." But it doesn't know why it has the problem. It doesn't know how it got the problem, and it certainly doesn't know how to get out of the problem because the problem lies embedded in the subconscious mind. So all problems are subconscious problems. That's why hypnosis is such a good technology, because talk therapy is going to always talk to the conscious mind. I'm not saying it will not penetrate into the subconscious, but it's not aiming for it. So we're going towards the part of the mind that's really got the problem. All problems are subconscious. We know that all problems exist in a client's unconscious or subconscious mind. So how can you prepare? It is not like baking. It is not like baking where you look at the ingredient list and you're like, okay, 4 eggs, a little bit of butter. Okay, now I'm going to go solve this problem. It's the opposite of this. So you cannot write a script and you cannot prepare and you cannot apply a pre-planned technique, because you, when you sit down with your client, do not know why they have the problem they have. They might say they know why, but if they really did, they wouldn't be asking you for help. So what we're going to learn and what I'm going to help you practice for the first demo here is called the hypnotic interview. So some of you are trained in coaching. There are all kinds of interview styles. There's motivational interviewing, there's coaching. I'm going to do a hypnotic interview, which is really an investigation of problems. That's it. We're going to ask people about their problems. Now, here is part one of how I'm really saying this is a revolution in therapy and in mental health care, because you're here in a hypnosis course, you're learning how to hypnotize people. You are going to learn how to hypnotize people. But for now, I want you to ignore, and I mean really ignore, trance, hypnosis, solving problems, or helping people to relax. So you probably thought that was some of what we were going to do today, was learn how to do hypnosis, learn how to solve people's problems, learn how to help people relax, but we're not. And I want you to really forget all of that permanently, because it's never going to help you. Even when you're the most sophisticated hypnotist in the world and you have your own course, you're still going to be teaching people to ignore hypnosis. So certainly today, I want you to ignore hypnosis completely and ignore solving problems. So you're going to have the instinct when you're in the demo to ask people, well, what's the solution to that? Or how do you get out of that? So I want you to resist that. All we're going to do is this: learn about the problem, not solve the problem, not force a solution, not direct the client, not demand of them anything, not try to get them to be more hypnotized, not try to help them to feel better. Isn't that so funny? We want them to feel better. They paid us $2,000 or $2,500 or $1,500, and I don't want you to solve their problem. I don't even want you to care about them feeling better. Amanda, I'll get to you in one moment. So what's the difference between trance and hypnosis and therapy? Here, before we answer that, Amanda, you want to ask your question?
So if like the problem doesn't really matter and we're not paying attention to what they're doing when they're talking about their problem, why does it matter? Why are we investing a lot of time in the problem? I guess, is that?
Yeah, good question. So why are we investing our time investigating the problem if the problem doesn't matter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a great question. And the answer is because the conversational method is going to use that layer of questioning to create experience in the client where they have to look for the answer. And the looking for the answer is the beginning of trance, or is an experience of trance. That's answer number one. And I'm going to talk about that more today. So that's a good question. But the second answer I want to give to that is because how can we possibly get to the root of the problem? How can we get to the core of the problem if we don't investigate it? We will always be circling a symptom until we ask questions about it. So like somebody might say, okay, I'm here to quit smoking. So, okay, well, tell me more about that. What's the problem with smoking? Oh, it's really expensive and I really stink. Okay, so what's the problem with that? Well, it doesn't really let me date because I always smell like cigarettes. Okay, so what's the problem with that? Well, I really want a partner and a child. Oh, okay, so you're here because you want a child. Okay, what does that have to do with smoking? Jack shit, nothing. But how would we know that unless we asked, well, why do you want to quit smoking? What's going on? So you see, like, it's all a spiraling experience or a dance with the subconscious, where the subconscious will only tell you what it thinks at the outset. So we have to investigate the problem. See, I just saw you have a subconscious moment there. Did everybody see Amanda where she kind of like, she leaned her head to the side and her eyes went up and she was like, what the fuck is this lady talking about? Like that is exactly what a question that's good will create, is that subconscious experience. And if I can pile that up for a while, what I create is a very safe hypnotic experience. So like, look at her right now. Everybody look at Amanda. Sorry, Amanda, but I can't help it. So that's exactly what we're doing, is what she's experiencing right now. She's just thinking through the questions and the comments that I'm giving, and it's creating trance in her without me saying, oh, Amanda, close your eyes. Go down a staircase, 10, 9, 8, 7, deeper relaxed, more relaxed. Like that's how real traditional hypnosis goes, right? And if I do that with Amanda, because I know Amanda and I know her personality, what will happen is she's going to start thinking in her head, I don't like that. She's telling me what to do. I don't feel relaxed. Oh, great. Now I spent all this money. I don't feel relaxed. oh, fuck. And then she's going to say, something's wrong with me. Something is not right with me. Why can't I relax? And you see, like, if I do it that way, then I've already lost her. It won't work because she's already going to be lost in that thing of like, I don't do well with inductions. I don't feel anything she's telling me to feel. But if I just start answering the question and talking to her and she just goes into trance naturally, then it's much easier. So that's what the questions do, is they create the possibility of trance without forcing it, without demanding it. Like, Amanda, you have a bunch of kids. When you tell your kids, everybody put your shoes on, what happens? Yeah, she's muted, right?
And no one puts their shoes on.
Yeah, no one puts their shoes on. It's not that they don't want to go where you're going. It's that you told them what to do. And
Now
the
they're
mind,
getting about their ideas, right?
exactly, the mind just resists being told. That's just normal, the mind. It really bothers me when people get mad at children for not listening, because it's not that they're not listening. It's because their subconscious is functioning correctly. Their subconscious knows to resist being forced. So when kids resist instructions, that's all they're doing. So the mind is just like that. It does not like being told. So I don't tell it what to do. I just invite it. That's what the questions are for. Okay, so now back to the question we were on. What's the difference between hypnosis and trance and therapy? What's the difference between hypnosis and therapy?
One is an instruction, right?
Yeah, right. Which one?
Therapy.
Therapy is, well,
Like
hypnosis.
you're instructing people, you're
Yeah.
more guiding them.
Kind of. Hypnosis can also be an instruction, though, which is like, okay, you're in a, hot air balloon, picture yourself letting go of all your problems. That's an instruction too. What's the point of hypnosis? What's the aim of hypnosis? What are people trying to do when they hypnotize you? Yeah, Sky?
I think they're trying to make you like think a certain way or like change your behavior.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to amend your
Lie
behavior.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, lie to you, right?
No, guide.
Oh, I
Maybe
thought you
lie, I
said
don't
lie
know.
to you. Yeah,
No,
guide to
guide.
you, guide you. Yes, lie to you. Both, I think those are both true, correct? But I mean, ultimately, when people tell you to get into hypnosis, they're telling you to relax, right? They're telling you to prepare to receive information. So typical hypnosis is like, everybody relax so that we can feed this person suggestions or affirmations. So hypnosis is not therapeutic in itself. Hypnosis is aimed to prepare to receive information. Why is that problematic in some cases? Because what if your mind is not ready to prepare? What if your mind is not ready to receive? What if you still have major reasons why you smoke and somebody is now telling me you're a non-smoker, you only breathe clean air? And you're like, but I still have that fucked up reason that I smoke inside of me. And now you're hypnotizing me to be a non-smoker? Like, how's that supposed to work? So guess what happens in that case? You make that person's problem worse. It doesn't help. It doesn't make it better. They might stop smoking for a short time because of the power of affirmation, but they will go back to it because the reason they smoked to begin with is still there. So why the conversational method triumphs over that is because we will therapize the client through the conversational method so that once they reach their solution, they have relinquished the root cause as well. That way, once they experience their resolution, they are not still holding on to the reason they had the problem. So hypnosis and therapy are not the same thing, and most hypnosis courses emphasize hypnosis. But as I just said, if you emphasize hypnosis and don't help people solve their problems, they're going to end up hypnotized with their root cause. Well, that's senseless. That's my personal opinion. A lot of people are going to disagree with me. So what I want you to do instead is allow people to explain whatever it is that's on their mind. Like, when's the last time you met two people who had anxiety or addiction for the same reason? You see my little suckers? This guy over here is not doing the same type of anxiety as this person. This person has anxiety because their mom, yelled at them when they were a child. And this person over here has anxiety because of their abusive ex-husband. And this person has anxiety because they have an eating disorder. Okay, well, so anxiety is not a description of the problem. The problem these three people have are different. Anxiety is a symptom. So if I have a client in front of me who says, I have anxiety, and I say, okay, let me read you my anxiety script. And they're like, well, that didn't help for shit because you have no idea why I have the anxiety. They're right. So we're back to the question of Amanda's question. Well, why ask the questions? Why investigate? Well, that's why, because I want to know why you have anxiety. And I want to know what's special about your anxiety. And I want to know exactly how you got it and in what order. Or if you don't want to tell me that, I want to know what you do want to tell me about it. Because then we can deal with you, the individual, not the anxiety, the topic or the label. That's why I charge big bucks for what I do, because I'm really creating it in the moment for each client. And that takes a lot of attention and focus. I would not charge this kind of money if I was reading scripts, because that's not special for each person. We stretch out the process of hypnosis way too long because we listen to the conscious mind. We love to go around the drama. Oh, and he said that she said, and she said that he said, and that said, the blah, blah, blah. Great. What does that have to do with the root cause why you're involved with all the he said, she said? We stretch it out by listening to all that. Ignore all of that. All this conscious information is what a regular therapist uses to create script, technique, strategy. They use their assumptions. They use what they were educated by in their school or in their, by their guru to say, hey, I can solve your problem based on all of this conscious shit that you told me. Okay, but the conscious shit had nothing to do with the reason I have the problem. So how is your technique going to actually solve it? It's not. That's unreasonable. That's just saying, because I have a degree, I can do better than you can. Well, that's nonsense. I can tell you because I have a really high degree. That's really not true. I can't do shit with my degree if I don't understand what you're talking about or why you're here. So trash all that. Trash every conscious thing you hear from the client. Isn't this a funny picture? I had a lot of choices for curiosity, but I went with these meerkats. I hope they stick with you, because this is all you're going to do today. Just look and listen really attentively. Be curious. That's it. What do you want to know? Look. Pay attention to what you want to know and ask that. Be curious like this cute little kid. This is who you are. This is who you're going to be in the demo that we're going to do in 5 minutes. Ask what's worth asking, even if it's a hard question. If you want to know, ask it. Don't be shy. Don't think, oh, well, I'm the professional, I can't say that. Ask it. If it's on your mind, ask. That's your intuition telling you, go towards something. And we're just practicing now. So if you ask the wrong or right, or there is no wrong or right, but if you ask something that's off the wall and it goes nowhere, we'll just chalk it up to an experiment. Don't worry about it. This is the attitude that I want you to have. Like, what's going on? Look at how kids are so cool. They all pay attention. They all curious. They all give a shit. Grown-ups don't have this anymore. We've lost it. This is who you're going to become now, like obsessively curious about your client, because the Soulsway solution is individual. These are solutions, right? They are individual. It's your soul's way, the client's soul. The only way to find their solution is to ask them and to listen. And that's what makes this a very universal technique that you can use with kids, teenagers, adults, seniors, because everybody can be asked. You can be curious about everybody. And obviously there's differences in the ways I use it for all these different types of people, but it's a universal skill. If all you do is be curious, all I want you to do is care about what is interesting to you, not about the client, but what you care about what they're saying, you have no pressure. This is how you should feel in the session, is chill and relaxed. Just remove the pressure for yourself, be curious, ask what's on your mind. And that's what we're going to do for the first demo. Be curious. Look, these two girls, I think they are women. These two girls, I think, are women. These two women are walking in the street, enjoying each other, asking each other what's going on, how's life? They're laughing. That's genuine curiosity. That's it. That's what we're going to do. Be curious. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the technique. Tomorrow, I'll give you the structure of the session. This afternoon, I'll give you more information on the hypnotic interview. Like, I will fill it out for you, but we're going to start with nothing. No handout, no instruction, no shit, nothing in front of you. Okay, that's by design. So who would like to volunteer as, I'm going to do it by whoever puts up their hands first, and you can volunteer more than once per weekend, but try to rotate positions. So like if you're the client the first time, offer to be the therapist for somebody else the second time. And there's no limit to how much you can volunteer, like today or next time, whatever. I am here for you when you demo. My speaker will always be on, so you're never alone. You're never in any danger. You're always safe, whether you're the client or the practitioner. My skill set is behind whoever is working with you, so don't be offended when I interrupt you. That's part of the teaching. But that's how we're going to do it is we'll have a volunteer client and a volunteer therapist, and I will overlay my voice so that you both get support. So we're going to just start out with a demo right now. The demo is be curious. That's all we're going to do. So when you're picking your problem to volunteer, let's not have your like biggest life problems. Okay, so we don't have time, or this is not, and this is also not the right setting for that. So pick a small to mid-sized problem, knowing that you might not solve it. We might just investigate it. If we do get somewhere with it, we'll just keep going. Okay, so raise your hand if you want to be the client. Don't make me pick you. Okay, Sky is going to be the client. Like I said, Sky, you can volunteer again later. Is Jim here? Yeah, so Jim, you can pin Sky as the client, and who would like to volunteer as a therapist? You do not need any prior training whatsoever. You don't need to know what you're doing. I'm going to coach you the whole way. So go ahead and volunteer just for kicks.
I can be the therapist.
Perfect. So Patrick will do the therapy. Sky will be the client. So every single session, I start the same with the question, what's the problem? What's the problem is a very hypnotic question, which we'll see from the outset. If you don't like what's the problem, you could say, what brings you here? What's going on? Tell me why you're here. But it's one of those two. So we're just going to start everything with what's the problem or what brings you here, and we'll just see what happens. So take it away. And everybody, stop your videos, please, and mute your volume. You're on,
Hi,
Pat.
Sky.
Yep.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, how can I help you today? What is the problem that you would like to look into today?
Okay, so Patrick, I want you to go into as few words as possible. So out of all the words you just said, pick the least number and ask it again.
Yeah. So, Sky, what's the problem?
See how much more effective? Perfect.
I have an unhealthy relationship with my phone, my cell phone. I find if I'm stressed or bored, I go to look for it like it's like a comfort blanket. And the reason, I guess it's a problem because I don't want to be on my phone all the time. Like I'm trying to be more present in life, and it does kind of feel like an addiction sometimes. And sometimes I pick it up. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm just clicking through apps.
Right. So you find that you are spending too much time on your phone and you don't like that.
Mhm.
Okay. So what would you rather be doing actually?
Good question.
Lots of things.
So
Being,
d-
oh,
do you see, are you seeing everybody, the subconsciousness going on there? She's like smiling, giggling, lots of things. And she looked over to the right. There we go. That's it. That's trance right there already. We didn't tell her to do it. And so she's just telling us, hey, my subconscious does know what it prefers to do. What is it?
hiking, surfing, cooking, dancing, spending time with friends. I mean, I could go on organizing my house, cleaning. There's so many things I'd rather be doing.
Right. Yeah. So there are all these things that you rather do,
So what are you curious about,
hiking.
Patrick? What are you curious about?
Um,
I'm just curious to know, well, she's like, obviously fit, she's beautiful, she's intelligent. Like, look at her. Obviously, she knows that her life is not about her phone, and yet she's compelled to it. So I'd like to ask her, well, what do you understand by that, given that you know how to balance your life? What do you understand is going on? There it is. There it is.
Oh,
Good.
am I answering you? I was waiting for Patrick to say
Yeah,
it.
you can. That's it.
oh yeah.
Patrick can ask it too.
Now I forget what the question is.
Pick it
Sorry.
up. Pick it up, Patrick.
Yeah. So what's the question?
See,
What was that?
I'm good, right? Look at these two. They're already like, I don't know what she's even saying. What do you understand to be going on, Sky? Like you are a fit, happy, positive, balanced person. So what do you understand to be happening with this addictive behavior?
Honestly, I think it's because I'm lonely and I'm looking for connection.
Okay. So that wasn't the original problem. There you go. Do you see the emotion behind it? Yep. Right. That wasn't what she said the problem was, right? She said the problem was phone addiction, but now she's saying the problem is connection, lack of connection.
Okay. So you just mentioned that you are looking for connection because you are lonely. So you go to the phone. Does the does going to the phone help you with the connection?
What a great question, Patrick. You nailed that one. Excellent question.
Sometimes it depends who's messaged me or responded. Yeah, sometimes it makes me feel worse after.
So sometimes it makes you feel worse,
Mhm.
and sometimes it makes you feel better.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm just curious, when are the times it makes you feel worse and when are the times it makes you feel better?
Better, I guess, when I feel like I've had a meaningful connection with someone through a message or a phone call. Um, with someone I care about, and then when it makes me not feel good, when someone hasn't responded or conversation feels artificial or surface level, I don't know, or mindless scrolling through social media.
Patrick, is she giving you a conscious answer or a subconscious answer? What do you think?
Conscious?
Yeah, it seems pretty conscious. How do you know that? How can you tell?
Because she doesn't need to. She's Sky is not pausing much. It's just coming out. very spontaneously, very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. She's giving you a pretty straight answer. It's like pre-calculated answer. It's like, it's the right answer. It's what she knows is the right answer. So we know that that's all nonsense, right? It's true to a certain extent, but we're not finding out anything is surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just asking, where would we need to go next? What are you curious about?
So what are things that make you feel truly connected?
I feel connected in nature. I feel connected with close family and friends and more in person.
So you feel more connected when you are with the person physically.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
okay, all right.
What's not fun about using a digital device to recreate that?
I think it's like giving me a false sense of connection, but it's not like really fulfilling. Like when you like eat like a spoonful of sugar instead of like a piece of fruit. It's
Oh,
like
so it's more like a spoonful of sugar.
you know what I mean?
Right. So
Like
it's like a drug. It's a dopamine.
yeah.
It's like a dopamine addiction that you're talking about.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
Sad.
Did you say sad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna say sad. Why sad?
Because I built this amazing life for myself and I want to live it and enjoy it. And
Yeah.
even like this morning, I went and met a friend to go pick something up at the hotel she works at. And I was sitting by the pool waiting for her, and it's like this beautiful high-end hotel. And I picked up my phone instead of just like listen. I'm in Mexico, like listening to the birds and enjoying the view.
How did you feel about that?
I recognized it and I put it away.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that what you want to do every time?
I mean, sometimes I need, there's a reason I have a phone. There's some function to it.
Would your life be better if you put the phone away when you realize you're missing out on the birds?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you need to have a more judicious use of your phone. What would that look like? So that's what I'm looking for right there. Did you guys see it? She's like, what would that look like? Oh, I'd never thought about that before.
I hate to use the word rules because I've tried that before and I don't stick to them.
Right? Guidelines. Maybe we'll call them guidelines.
I'm like no phone in the bedroom, and then I'm like trying to play music in my bedroom and
Right. I do keep the phone out of my bedroom just because of wireless waves. So I do think that's a good one.
I just need to figure out how to play my music in there.
Yeah. Another device would work.
Yeah, I already forgot the question again.
Yeah, the question was, is that how you want to feel? Do you want to feel the way that you said you felt once you put the phone away and was able to listen to the birds?
Yeah, because usually the way I feel when I put the phone down is either I don't know why I picked it up or what I got out of that. And sometimes I feel worse than I did to start. It's just like a time filler. It's a fix, like a temporary fix. It doesn't really work.
Yeah. What are you curious about, Patrick? So she's telling us the phone isn't exactly the problem. My lack of self-control around the phone is the problem. What are you curious about?
Mm,
I
so
want to go ahead. I wanted to
okay,
tell
go
you what
ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
curious about. Go ahead. I'm curious about why is this important? Why is it important for her? Why is it important for you to have access to the life that you designed, which you said is beautiful, over dopamine addiction?
Because I blew up my whole life to do this. And yeah, I just moved this week and I got into my new place and I just like started laughing because
That's
I don't
awesome.
know, my subconscious or something, but it was like, shit, you did it, Sky. Like,
Beautiful. Congratulations.
thank you.
Amazing.
And I'm just really proud of everything. And I've gotten to build, like, I'm 41 now, and I've gotten to build the life that I wanted. And now I'm just trying to kick some habits that I've had my whole life. Like, the phone thing isn't new.
Yeah.
And just now I'm like, I have this amazing life. I don't need to distract myself, you know?
Yeah. Why now? Why is now the time to kick these final problems?
Because I've worked so hard for everything. And this is like exactly the life that I wanted. And I don't need to distract myself from it. I think I was distracting myself. Oh, here I'm going, distracting myself from my previous life
Oh, okay.
because I was bored.
So this is something that you learned when you were bored previously to check your phone because you're bored. But then
Mhm.
now you redesigned your life to not be bored and to have everything you want, but you're still doing a habit from back when you were bored.
Mhm.
What do you think of that?
It makes a lot of sense, and I've never thought of it that way.
Isn't that weird, everybody? Just we'll give Sky a moment to just process that. But isn't that weird that here she is, a therapist, a very educated, smart lady, and she's telling me, well, I've never thought about that before, that this habit is a habit from the past. This is not a habit that I need right now. Isn't that strange that her subconscious never provided that to her before this moment? So now we have an answer again to Amanda. Why do we ask questions? Because we just want to know. Well, how did you get this problem? Tell me more about it. And I mean, what are we into it right now? 17 minutes in, and she's already told us the real reason I have this problem is because my past life sucked in a way that my current life does not. Well, that's helpful. So, what's at stake for you in gaining freedom, gaining more freedom from the device, from your compulsive behavior?
I can live in the moment and enjoy all the hard work that I've done and this life I've curated for myself.
So I'm gonna just take a pause from the questioning cycle right now, and I'm gonna move into something else. So I'm just warning you all that I'm doing it. So when you watch this back, you're not confused. So I'm just gonna ask her a little bit about motivation because she's volunteered it 3 times now in a row. What has she volunteered, Patrick? Do you know? What has she volunteered about? Do you know?
I don't know.
Well, she said 3 times to the last 4 or 5 questions. I've heard 3 times the same response, which is, this was very hard to do. I earned it. This is a lot of effort, she said. I'm proud of myself, she said. So I want to know more about that. So, what happened? Why are you proud of it? How did you end up in Mexico at 41 as a Canadian? How did you do all that? I mean, you don't have to tell me the whole long version, but like, what's the
Short story, I
Yeah.
was in a loving marriage with a wonderful man that had a strong personality, and I followed his life for 18 years. And I started kind of like, very comfortable life, but kind of walking through everything is like a zombie, like just
Yep.
but happy-ish. And then I don't know. So, I mean, a couple things happened, and I started to kind of like wake up and like, oh, is this my life or am I living someone else's?
Okay.
I realized I was living someone else's. So I left that marriage and left my job and my family and my country and
Wow.
everything.
So it was very important to you to go where the birds are and the ocean,
Yes.
like
yes.
to the point of changing everything.
Mhm,
And now you did it.
mhm.
And you said you're proud of it.
Very.
Yeah, very. Why wouldn't you be? That's amazing. What are the things that you have access to now that are special?
Spirituality.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, a more calm way of life,
Yeah.
more about
Beautiful.
experiences, less about stuff and money. I'm
Yeah.
from Vancouver, so it's very expensive
Yeah,
there.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
So less materialism, more nature, more
Mhm.
spirituality, more being with yourself,
Mhm.
more of the truth. Pardon?
More dancing.
Yeah, more dancing, more
Chocolate.
music, more joy. I love it. Okay. Except for the pesky phone.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm surprised you didn't mention the ocean.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was part of nature. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it.
nature, the surfboard.
Mhm.
Okay, so you have access to all this stuff that you yourself gave yourself access to.
Mhm.
Okay. So what do you want to know, Patrick? And just before I ask Patrick, of course, I can never stop asking questions. So, how important is it for you to maximize your experience of those things while you can?
Mm. Super important. I think that's sometimes why I feel like angry or guilty about using my phone.
Yeah, what?
Out of that. It's taking me away from all that.
Right. So, just describe to me what happens when you reach for it. Like this
Mhm.
morning, you were at this beautiful hotel, and then what happened?
I think it's like I was sitting by myself, like no one to talk to. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been by myself the whole day previous by myself.
Okay.
So I was just looking to see like if anyone messaged me.
So, why didn't you talk to yourself? When you say I had no one to talk to, why are you not on the list?
I do talk to myself, even out loud.
Okay.
Mm,
What was it about that moment that made you think talking to myself is not the key right now?
I was in a public space. I don't know.
Okay. Right. You didn't want to go to a mental asylum. Okay, good choice.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've had a lot of conversations with myself this past, yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with myself this past 2 years since I separated. I've spent a lot of time alone.
Okay. So you're bored of that conversation or it's repetitive?
I think I've just had a lot of it. I'm not bored of myself. I like spending time alone.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely a big adjustment to go from like living with someone for all my adult life to like living on my own for 2 years, just being on my own.
Patrick, what do you think? Subconscious or conscious? Answer.
Conscious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why do you say that?
Um, it's just um, she's not Sky is not um pausing a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. In a way, I agree with you. Like the way she spoke was conscious, but the way I mean, even right there, I can see it. See, there's something she's seeking, there's something she's curious about in herself, there's something she hasn't said yet. I'm just watching that she looks different than she looked for the first 20 minutes. So there's something subconscious occurring. So that's the direction I'm going. See, right even there, I can see it. What's going on? What is that? And it's okay to ask the clients, well, what's going on? What's going on? What's happening?
I think I'm like processing my hyper independence.
Okay, interesting. Okay, tell me more.
When I left, I was like, I have to do everything myself, and like
Mhm.
even like pack and move on myself and spend a lot of time alone and take myself on dates and all
Right.
that stuff. Amazing.
Yeah.
But I've also like done it for 2 years, and I like connection with people. And I
Right.
have lots of friends and stuff, and I do see them. I do have a great network
Yeah.
here.
Well, what's missing?
Mm, I'm not used to not having that one person, which is usually like a life partner or like a husband that like
Yeah.
knows everything and that you connect with every day. And so I've been being that person for myself.
Yeah. And the phone kind of is a stand-in for that person to some extent.
So yeah.
Yeah, like what's so funny? What
So
were you about to say?
when I was on my phone last week, I woke up in the morning and I went on social media and I had an ad, and I don't
Oh,
know
I
what.
know what you're gonna say for the AI boyfriend.
Yes. I laughed and cried at the same time.
That's so funny. Takes one to know one. Another single girl to single girl. I totally get it.
I was
Right.
like, what vibes am I putting out there that I
I
need?
know. When I saw that on my phone, I was like, okay, algorithm, you can go fuck yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And who invented this? Right. And so what's so funny about that?
Because I was angry at first, and then I was like, maybe that is a good idea.
Right.
Uh,
I know it's hysterical. It's like it'll wake you up every morning with a good morning text.
yeah.
That sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the problem with an AI boyfriend?
I don't know. It's maybe not a bad thing.
Maybe it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Would it give you what you want?
Kind of like not artificially, like superficially.
Yeah. Is that what you want? The superficial
No,
band-aid? No, no,
I don't like, no.
exactly.
I can leave myself little love notes or something if I.
Really needed to. Yeah, like are you the kind of person who can be deceived by some kind of artificial stand-in for the real thing?
No,
I
no,
mean,
that would.
if you try that, what will happen?
I don't know. It might be funny for like a week. And then,
Exactly. But eventually you'll feel worse.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Where are we, Patrick? What do you know? What do you know about Sky?
Um, that Sky values her independence
Yes.
and freedom.
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah, that Sky enjoys her own space. Um, at the same time, there seems to be a contradiction. That at the same time, Sky feel loneliness, and there's a loss of connection. But what probably might also lead Sky to move and transition to where so this is what I feel, Sky, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you probably made the decisions that you made to transit because you were in those 18 years, was it 18? 18, yeah. You were feeling that loss of connection, that you were feeling a disconnect at many levels, including with yourself. And deep inside, you are looking for connection with people, but more so with yourself. And just going to the phone is also disconnecting from yourself.
So Patrick, that's
Yeah,
very interesting that you have that intuition, which I don't know if it's right or wrong, but she's nodding that it's right. So trust your intuition always and ask it to her in a question format. Yeah, ask it in a question format. That's why we're doing the interview, right? Is to test our own intuition.
Right.
We're not really trying to
Okay.
listen to the answers because they're irrelevant, but we're listening to the space in between, so to speak. And so the space in between gave Patrick this instinct or this feeling. So I want you to just now follow it and pose it back to her. Because you have to check that, right? That's a guess that you just made. And it's a good guess because you saw your client give you agreement. So now check it with her.
Okay. Well,
In the least number of words, least number of words.
Okay.
Take your time. You're doing a great job. You both are.
Yeah. So Sky, times you feel most connected with yourself?
Good.
Sorry.
Perfect. That's it.
Sorry, it cut out. Did you ask what makes me feel most connected with myself?
When are the times where you feel most connected with yourself?
When I'm surfing,
Good.
when I'm hiking, especially alone or just with my dog, when I'm dancing, which is also alone. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I'm most connected with myself.
Yeah. So, when you are surfing, when you are hiking, when you are dancing. Okay.
And so now let's just use your hypnotic language to say, you said the words back to her, which was good because you're reminding her this is what makes you feel connected. But then take it the whole way and say, those are the things that make you feel connected to yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because we're just talking to her, we're talking to her subconscious, right? So her subconscious is listening and it's going to say, oh, yeah, those are the things that make me feel connected to myself. So just give her the full thought when you repeat it back.
Okay, those are the things that make you feel most connected to yourself.
Yes.
How does your phone play into that?
Well, I can't take it in the ocean, which is one of the reasons I love surfing.
Yeah, perfect.
Hiking, it's in my backpack. It's just that I only have it for safety and photos.
Yeah.
Dancing, I just have it for safety and photos.
This is so funny. So what you're telling me is when your phone is utilitarian, it's good. But when it takes the place of the stuff I like, it's not as good.
Yes.
Why is it that when you're not doing the activities that make you feel connected, the phone takes on a different role? Is it just physical access?
I mean, that's part of it. I always have it near me. And it's just such like a quick fix of
What's it fixing?
boredom, loneliness, stress.
I thought you said it doesn't always fix that.
Okay.
I think you even said sometimes it exacerbates it.
I think I pick it up because I think it's gonna fix that.
Are you lying to yourself?
Well, yeah, because I know it doesn't work most of the
Okay.
time.
So you're lying to yourself. Okay. How many times a day do you tell that lie? And by the way, everybody, I don't even know why I asked that, but I just knew that she was going to get a kick out of it. So I did. I'm just curious. That's all.
Say 30. I
Okay.
don't really give a number. It's a
But
lot.
but it's more, right? Because it's like per hour, probably 4 or 5 times, and there's like 10, 12 hours. So
Mhm.
it's probably more like 60.
Yeah, it's
I
a
mean,
lot.
okay, somewhere between 30 and 50, let's say.
I'd rather be catching like 30 to 50 waves than
Yeah, right. And just to finish that thought, 30 to 50 times a day, 7 days a week is 350 lies per week, which is 1,400 lies per month.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the lying thing's really interesting. I've never looked at it that way.
How do you think about it now that I presented it that way? Is it true? And do you remember what the lie is before we get too confused with that?
That when I pick up the phone, it's gonna help me.
Yeah, connect.
Yeah.
I mean, it does in a way, because maybe like your surfing buddy is there saying, "Hey, let's go catch a wave." So that's a good use of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's a way in which it does answer that need.
Yeah, and I vlog myself, like I do diary vlogs sometimes. And so I'll go back and watch those. So that's like, and I go back and look at photos. That's like a connection to myself and things I've done.
Right. And that's a good thing, right? Yeah. So there are ways in which the use of it is totally normal and good.
'Cause I did consider getting rid of it and just getting a flip phone or something, but I
Right.
really value the music and the photos.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't really need to change the phone because you know that you can change yourself.
No, I haven't been able to yet, but
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
getting there.
do you think you can?
I feel like I'm getting closer. Yeah.
Why is it important to you to do it? I know I already asked you that, but I want to ask you again because you said I've been trying for a long time. Why now?
Because like the other day when I moved in and I got in my apartment, I started laughing because like I did it all. Like
Yeah.
check, check. It's like, okay, now's the time to
Live
enjoy
it.
it.
Right.
Yeah, live it, enjoy it.
Yeah. So you got through all the shitty parts and all the planning parts and all the challenging parts and all the expensive parts, and now you did it.
Mhm.
What do you want out of this experience?
Joy and presence and new connections with people. I guess like even at the pool this morning, there was no one there. But if there was, and I was on my phone, like that's a missed connection with someone.
Yeah. So the phone is sometimes stopping you from expansion.
Mhm.
What could you do that's not phone related to expand? What would you like to do?
I like in those moments when I feel bored or stressed or
Like overall in life.
Hmm. I don't know, it's got to be something because I can't just say like go for a hike because that's like a couple hour commitment.
Yes.
Something that's like a quick fix or
Well, you could say that. I mean, so anything I'm curious about. Like, what is the part of you that wants connection and expansion really asking you for?
well, meet more people. I'm not sure.
Oh, meeting more people is what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah. Making more friends.
yeah, and I have a lot of friends, so maybe just proactively making more plans with the ones I do have.
Do you like the people you know?
Yeah.
are there people missing from the group that you have?
Yeah, I only have female friends.
Okay. So what's missing?
Male companionship,
Okay. Is that at the bottom of this whole thing?
probably.
Okay. What's so funny?
Nothing.
Is it hard to admit?
No.
Is it uncomfortable?
Mm, maybe because I just remember there's a whole bunch of people watching.
Oh, what? That's right. And always be cognizant of that. What do you really want out of this male companion?
I miss what I had in my marriage.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't? I mean, 20 years of marriage. Of course you do.
And also being here, like I have two brothers and my dad in my life, and I don't have them here either. And I've got a brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So like just don't really have
Yeah.
platonic or not, you know?
So really what you want is male friends, possibly male companionship to the point of partnership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I need the partnership, but yeah, it's just friends that you can
Yeah.
trust.
Okay, so male friends,
Mhm.
male energy, let's say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Male
Yeah.
vibes.
Mhm.
What does it give you to have male vibes? Like, what's the vibe of the vibe?
Mm. Well, none of my girlfriends surf, and a lot of them are scared of the ocean.
Right. Like
So,
me.
like that shared hobby and adventure. Like I kind of like to do scary stuff.
Yeah,
Mm. Not to say there aren't female surfers here. I just haven't become
of
friends with
course. Yeah.
them.
But the ruggedness, the athleticism, something like that. Fair.
So like a sense of like safety, knowing that there's someone that can like help you with things or
Yeah.
if you needed them. Like
How
I
do
know,
you, Mhm. No, go ahead.
I was just saying like when I'm in Canada, I know like I can call my dad or I call my brother or call like one of my good friends that I've known for 30 years if I needed help with a car or
Right. So some of it is convenience, some of it is energetic, some of it is for activities.
Mhm. Mhm.
What's the easiest way to have more of that in Mexico?
Um, open myself up to being friends with men, I guess. I definitely had like closed myself off.
Okay. When?
Mm, when I went on a trip to Colombia and Mexico before I moved down here and just trying to date and having some poor dating experiences with men. And then I just kind of swore off being around men.
I know that feeling as well. Okay, so right now, where are you with the being sworn off of it?
Well, I'm not fully sticking to it, but
Right.
uh, I think, yeah, I had some people that I thought were friends and they definitely wanted more than that. And just not having the safety of just like having platonic friendships, you know?
Yep. Patrick, where is Sky with her problem right now?
Uh,
And if you don't know, you could just
I'm
ask
not
her.
sure.
Huh?
Um, I'm not. I don't understand the problem. As in, what you're asking when you say where is Sky with a problem right now?
Yeah, well, her original problem was phone addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just wondering now that
So
we've been
right now
talking. Yeah.
male, with male, the issue she has with uh friends with guys. Like it's like on one hand she wants it, on the other hand she doesn't want it.
Yeah, that's right. So now
Yeah,
we're on a whole other area of problems, which is not phone addiction.
yeah.
It's something like deciding where to open my heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are you curious about? Sky, are you happy to continue?
I don't know.
Okay. Like, what do you want to know? What do you want to know about her and her life and her problem? Like, let's say you were just talking to her as a friend. What would you want to ask her?
Um,
You know what she wants, Patrick?
uh, male friends that she can feel safe with.
Has she told us
That
yet that
she's
she's ready for that, or has she told us she's thinks that's what she wants?
uh uh yeah, friends, like platonic friends, like
I thought though that she also said, I'm not sure I'm ready to reopen to that since I last closed off to it. I mean, I don't know how she feels about it right now.
uh
Do you know?
I mean, what I heard is close off the romantic, like not sure about romantic relationships, but
Is that accurate,
not
Sky?
hearing
What Patrick's saying? So
platonic.
are you saying you want to not have the romance but have openness to the friendship, or is it some other configuration right now? Where are you on the what you want from men?
I'd like both. Yeah,
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
open to both right now at this juncture,
yeah.
even though those people
Haven't
mess.
had positive experiences yet.
That's what I was asking. So even though it's been negative, you feel ready to re-experiment?
Mhm.
Are you ready for it inside of yourself?
Now that I have more like filters and guards and knowing what I want, I think I am in a better place.
Okay, so you have learned
I
from
was naive before.
yeah, exactly. So you've learned from the so-called mistakes or naivete, and now you're more prepared.
Mhm.
What do you want to do to meet those people? How do you how do you meet them in Mexico?
Uh, Probably just going out. It's a small town.
Right.
Eventually you'll meet everyone in town. So
Okay. So just being around.
not sitting in my house like I do a lot.
Okay. What are you using your phone when you're sitting in your house?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not always, but yes.
Is the phone stopping you from getting what you want?
I think it's a piece of it. It's a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Is
distract.
is there another piece?
Mm,
That's a pure subconscious moment. Look at it. She's like, another piece. And now her mind is asking, piece of what? I don't know what she's asking me. Take your time.
So funny when you ask questions like that. My mind just like feels like it goes blank. Like I can't think of anything, but I think it is
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly. That's the hypnosis working on you. And
Yeah.
so when the clients give you feedback like that, that's perfect. You just say, I know that's it's working. That's exactly why you're here. If you knew, you would have told me. So it's okay not to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
The word for what just happened there is fractionation. So her mind explored itself and it went to a place that's not where she was to start with. So it's inquiring into itself. That's trance. The mechanism of it is fractionation, and I'll explain that later. But you just saw it. So the question was, is there something else missing? And you said, I don't know. So for now, what you know is that the phone is part of the distraction and maybe there's something else. What do you want to have happen? What would be the ideal resolution for you?
That I can have a healthier relationship with my phone and I'm using it more for like function instead of filler.
Yeah, function instead of filler. That's smart.
And that freedom will allow or propel me to get out a bit more and meet new people and spend more time with my current friends.
So if you could go back to this morning when you got to the nice hotel and instead of listening to the birds, you ended up scrolling, what would you do differently? Like, let's say that you're waiting for your friend and you know she's going to be down in 7 minutes. What would you like to do?
I would have left my phone in my fanny pack and probably like done some, like a few deep grounding breaths.
Nice.
Maybe even closed my eyes because I was by myself.
Yeah.
Just kind of something after one of our sessions was when I went hiking, I did like, call it the three senses. So I had to like,
Yeah.
there's three things around me from three different senses.
Oh, nice.
Only one of them could be sight. So like one had to be like smell, touch. And so just like
Right.
noticing different things. So I could start, I haven't done that in a while, but it was helping me in the summer.
I love that. So just grounding yourself by noticing what's around you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Stretching, breathing, noticing.
Mm.
How does it make you feel to think about that outcome instead of the scrolling outcome?
It feels freeing. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that why you're in Mexico?
Yeah. I
Are
don't
you?
know if you can hear the birds every once in a while, but it's like,
No, I can't, but I wish I could.
um, yeah, it's an amazing. There's like so much to look. There's so many smells, good and bad, and like
Yes.
sights. And
What part of Mexico?
I'm in Celulita, so on the west
Oh,
coast.
yeah. Beautiful. Amazing. Okay. So you're there for the sights and smells and the deep breaths and the groundedness. Are you there to check Facebook? I mean, aside from my group, of course.
Of course. And yeah, now that I've found a house and a car, I don't need to be on Marketplace all the time. So that
Yeah,
helps.
that's right. Is it okay that you've used the phone for all of the things you've needed?
No, I mean, that's how I got here. I did all my research on my
That's why
phone.
I'm saying. So your phone has really been a huge blessing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
Mhm.
functional, it's kept you safe, it's kept you known to your friends where you are, it's giving you marketplace, it's giving you connection to this group. So it's like very useful.
Mhm.
It's not, there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
Okay. So there's just an adjustment that needs to happen.
it's like how I use it. It's like,
Yeah. And how
the
frequently, I guess.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
food.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Or sex or drugs.
I mean,
All addictions are the same, just so everybody knows it's all the same. It's not about the topic, it's about something else. So we have gotten somewhere with that with you today. So let's say an hour after the course this evening, you start to have a pang of missing us, which of course you will because we're amazing. Then what will you do?
um,
Let's say you just get a pang of loneliness, which is normal. I love the subconsciousness here. Great. Continue.
I know Crystal from school, so I would probably
Yeah.
message her.
Okay, perfect. Right. And would that give you a sense of connection?
Yeah, because she's wonderful to chat with.
Exactly. So you'd get out your phone and talk to someone you value.
Mhm.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
Okay. Oh, Crystal gave you a heart. You two are the same. I love it. You're so sweet. Okay. So that you would be fine with that. Okay, so that's a good use of your phone.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say the conversation with Crystal lasts for 15 minutes and then she needs to go to bed because you're in a different time zone, but you're still lonely. Then
I'd
what?
probably look on Instagram or see if somebody messaged me.
Yeah, and how do you feel about that?
Mm.
Okay. So what's the problem between the two?
Well, one is like a meaningful connection with someone that I respect and have love for. We have like common interests. We have good conversation, and I feel good after our conversations.
Yeah.
The other one is like I'm like looking for
Grasping, right? Grasping. Even grabbing, maybe.
yeah, one's very natural and one's not.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is it okay, especially when you're in business, to check those things sometimes?
Check like social media and stuff.
Yeah, like if I never checked who Instagrams
Yeah,
me, I would
yeah, I
miss
know.
clients.
So, yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, I have to, yeah.
Yeah, at some point you have to, but how much do you have to?
I don't know. Like,
Is like once in the morning and once in the afternoon and once in the evening enough?
yeah, my head was kind of like twice a day.
Yeah, twice, maybe three times if you have an active business.
Mm.
Okay. So a few checkings is okay, but desperate grabbing checking, not so much.
Yeah, I think more like planned.
Yeah, exactly. So how can you tell the difference between those two feelings?
Mm.
Patrick, I totally forgot you're there. See, that's how the hypnosis works on me.
Okay.
I'm just
All
noticing it.
right.
Mm.
Thanks for putting up with me. How do you notice the difference between the feeling of desperate checking and measured plan checking?
I think measured plan, I have a goal.
Yeah,
It's, check to see if there's any houses for rent that I'm looking for, or if a client's messaged, or
exactly. Right.
like purposeful.
What's the different feeling in your body?
Mm. Well, when I'm just looking for like that fix, it's more like there's a bit of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
because I know that if there isn't a response or there's nothing on there, I'm kind of like, oh,
Yeah, right. Nobody loves me.
yeah, just a bit of
Yeah.
disappointment.
Fuck this whole world, right? I know I can relate. Right. Do you know that feeling of anxiety in your body?
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with it.
So if you're very familiar with it, what does it really want you to be doing? I don't think the feeling of anxiety is telling you, hey, use a device right now. But what is it doing?
It's telling me not to do it, I think.
Okay, so the wires are crossed.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you uncross them?
Um, I don't know how to do that.
What would it go ahead.
If by uncross you mean like recognize that anxiety is like a protection of me, then
Yeah.
stop doing that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, if I can recognize the feeling before I commit an unconscious behavior, what would the outcome be? What would the outcome be for you if you could recognize it and not indulge the compulsive behavior?
Yeah, that would feel empowering.
Is that why you're in Mexico?
Yeah, because I was gonna use the word proud. I'd feel proud of myself.
Yeah, because you'd be doing the life that you set up for yourself that took you 20 years to get to.
Mm.
Okay, so a lot of effort going into this thing that you could then capitalize on.
Mm.
So, what do you want to do the next time you have a doom scroll feeling, an anxiety driven feeling? Take your time.
I think for now, I will try a couple deep grounding breaths just to center myself and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And do my three senses thing.
Mhm.
Even if I'm just inside my apartment, because I usually just do it outside when I'm in nature.
Yeah.
But just to get myself more present to what I'm doing. Because it's become so like automatic to pick up
Yeah.
the
And what happens if that's successful, let's say until 4 p.m., and then you start to get really antsy and really want to check it? Then what?
Maybe I need to call a friend and like actually connect with someone.
Oh, okay. So actually connect rather than fake connect. What do you think of that?
I think it's great. Or go out.
Yeah. Would it be okay to just go out for like 10 minutes just to do something? Take a walk?
Yeah.
When you look at your original problem now, what do you think?
I actually do feel like it's something I can, I hate to use the word fix, but like manage now.
Yeah, manage is a good word.
A long time. It was on my list of things I was maybe going to bring to you, but I picked something else.
Perfect. This is cheaper. That's why we do small level problems right here. Okay. So how do you feel about fixing it now? By the way, I love calling myself a fixer. I think fix is a great word. Like a mafia word, right? The fixer.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot more hopeful. Yeah. Optimistic.
I love that. Well, and as we said, we weren't necessarily going to solve all the problems in the demos today, but you went really far with it. So that's amazing. Is there anything else you want to say to me or to Patrick?
I will say to Patrick, when you were sort of like summarizing, I don't know how, I have no idea what time it is, a while ago. You were bang on with what you were saying. So
He really was, wasn't he? He nailed it.
really good intuition, like what you were curious about. So yeah, just I would go with that and just keep asking questions.
I love it, Sky. Sky's like, if you had just let him finish, he could have done the session. Thank you, Patrick, for putting up with all my interruption. I will really try to not do that next time. But I appreciate that you allowed me to. Patrick, is there something else you want to say to Sky or ask her, knowing that we didn't do a complete session?
Um, yeah, I just yeah, I just felt that it feels like connection is just something you value a lot inherently, and you really have it in you. Uh, yeah, um that you are a person that so this is not obviously it's not therapy or that, but you are a person that uh actually people naturally feel connected with you, whether you realize it or not. And people actually feel safe with you. And that's the special gift you carry.
Oh,
Does that make sense to you?
Thank you. That's very sweet.
I think that's totally accurate. And Patrick, I think that's true for you too. And I think anyone who enrolls in this course has that natural God-given talent, goddess-given talent. So that's exactly what I was emphasizing when you all got here is you're already good at this because connection is the key of hypnosis. Like these two people are not, particularly trained. They don't know each other. They don't have any background. They haven't done a discovery call. And look at the degree of connection. That's pretty amazing. That's all ACH is. That's all conversational hypnosis really amounts to is rapport, connection, good vibes, really wanting the person to get somewhere, desire. So the questions are irrelevant if you have that. So let's bring everybody back and I'll answer a couple questions till 2:15 my time, 8 or 10 minutes, and then I'll give you a break. So I'm going to give you a 20-minute break to chill. Does anybody have questions on the session? So that was not a complete session. There was no structure to it. There was no real order, but we capitalized on curiosity. That was the whole instruction was just be curious. And it took Sky like 59 minutes really to solve her problem, even in a unstructured situation. So I told you it was a speed product, so that's proof of that. What questions do you have about what happened?
I I was like hypnotized by
Of
watching
course,
that
totally.
like hypnotic moment where she would gaze off, and I was just so fascinated. It's like a window into someone's soul.
That's
Watching
right,
them.
Amanda. That's it.
It's really beautiful.
It's
So
so
cool.
beautiful, and look at how easy it is.
Hmm.
I mean, can't you do that? How hard is that? I
Yeah,
mean, that's all it is intuition, watching the moment of expansion, leaning into the expansion. That's it. Oh, I raised my hand so you guys could all see the hand raising tool. Um, that's it. What you just said, Amanda, is the heart of what I'm doing. That's what I do for a living. When you can capture it and you see it, you snag it and expand it. Like that's what all your years of yoga training is going to amount to now is it's so obvious to me when the person moves from one part of themselves to another. Sky?
I was just gonna say, like I was happy to volunteer, but I was a little skeptical, like knowing how many people were watching, like how far my subconscious would let me go.
I know.
And then I forgot everyone was there for a bunch of times.
Yep.
And then that one, I can't remember the question when I like couldn't, like there wasn't, I felt like there wasn't a thought in my brain for like 30
Yep.
seconds. And I was like, oh, okay, it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what's weird about the group is the more subconsciouses combined, the stronger the effect. So, like, I thought that when I would volunteer in front of 100 people, it would be the opposite, but it enhances it. So, it's very interesting. The subconscious mind is amplified by volume. Also, knowing what we're doing does not change your ability to do it. Like Crystal asked me a while ago, oh, but if I take the course, how can I ever, use the technique after that? Or will it work on me still? And the answer is the mind is the mind. The mind is what it is. It's a natural state of events, it's a natural state of affairs to be in hypnosis. You can't change that just by educating it. In fact, it's the contrary. The more you know, the easier it is to see it. So, the reason I'm giving this answer is it's a very robust experience. It's very powerful. You can't just crack it. People think, "Oh, hypnosis, how can that be on Zoom? How can that be in front of an audience?" Well, it's robust, it's strong. It's not fragile the way people think, like, "Oh, they'll blink and it'll be over." Like, no. And I mean, I was talking over them both. Like, why isn't that distracting? Why isn't that taking her out of trance? It's a really interesting observation, Scott. You're right. Crystal?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure how to phrase my question, but it's just sort of something I noticed, and I'm curious how you think about it. Um, so the coaching that Sky and I both took was very much about like being curious, right? And just being curious, being curious, being curious. But one of the things that they really emphasized was like, don't have an agenda,
Yep.
right? Clear that sometimes you notice something and your question has an agenda because you're trying to get the person to see what you saw. So I'm just curious about how you think about this in hypnosis, and like when you're just asking a question and when you decide to like, or is it just sort of intuition? I don't know.
My whole agenda is to follow the moment. So I don't have an agenda per se, other than be with the client where they are. So wherever she is where I am. If I have an agenda, then I want her to come with me. That's where it gets fucked up. Like that's where traditional therapy, I think, fails the most is, oh, but I'm the one with my name on the door. So why don't you do what I think? Why don't you try this coping mechanism? Why don't you write a journal? Why don't you come back next week? Like that's the therapist telling you, my agenda has worked on some other people. Probably it'll work on you too. And you're like, but how do you know that since you don't know me? And they're like, oh, but you're like everybody else. And you're like, well, but I'm not. I mean, that's to me the key problem with methods that are predictable. Like, as I keep saying, there's nothing wrong with RTT, but like, what if that person doesn't like to do regression? That's the main operator. So what if they come in and say, here's my problem, and you say, okay, RTT, go back to the past. And they're like, I don't want to do that. And you're like, but that's the method that I use that works. Well, no, because everybody is different. And by the way, everybody also does trance differently. Like Sky is kind of typical in a way, eyes looking up, slowing down, quieter voice. But some people are the opposite. Some people talk faster. Some people yell at you. Some people start to cry. Some people, sweat. Some people go to the bathroom 15 times. Some people smoke. I mean, I've seen a lot of weird things, but everybody does it their own way. And if I think I have an agenda that can predict where they're going, I am sure to lose them. So like I think whoever is teaching you that, and I'd like to know because that's correct, is no agenda except for presence with the client. I'm curious to know, which question do you think has an agenda behind it?
I think it's like when you say things like, well, doesn't that mean that? Or, well, don't you see, like when you do those types of questions, like that's when I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to say that because it would have been outside of my wheelhouse, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, obviously, like I've probably done, 1,000 sessions by now. So some things I just know seem to work and seem to work for me, but that's irrelevant. Like you could have done that session with a whole different set of questions, and she still would have said the same thing at the end. Like nothing I said helped her. What helped her was her subconscious. Like, did you notice that we never gave her a solution? Like, where did the whole thing with I'll do breathing and find 3 things and take a break where did all that come from? Her. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say, oh, well, let me tell you on page 46 of my book here, it says for addiction, you can do deep, deep breathing. Because if I had said it, she would have been like, fuck your deep breathing. I don't want to do that. But she said it. That was her idea. As long as it comes from her, she'll do it. But that's a great question, Crystal. Let's keep our eye on it. And next time you notice an agenda-based question, so to speak, ask me about it because that's an interesting direction. Okay, so let's take a 20-minute break and then we'll come back this afternoon and do hypnotic interview details. And we'll do another demo that really focuses on the hypnotic interview. The point of that first one is to remind you that curiosity is all you need. That's all we did right now. I didn't train you on any skills. I didn't show you anything other than the gist of this vibration, which is all predicated on curiosity. If you learned nothing else this weekend, that's what you learned, is to ask questions from the most curious place in you and find out how to make that hypnotic.